welcome to this week's custom, the weirdest one you will ever see probably. I showed the result of this experiment to a few people. They all agreed they have no idea what I was trying to go for. And I understand. I had an inspiration and I felt the need to do this, but I guess it's not for everyone. So anyway, the base for this pony is 1986, I think. Sweet Stuff. This is Generation 1 pony, which had some pre-existing damage and some pre-existing art. As usual, we will start by cleaning the pony, and I also need to remove the head if I want to get to the tail and the mane. So I'm going to use very hot water to loosen the plastic and the glue. I chose this particular pony because of the shape. It will match my project ideas, and also because I have 4 or 5 of these and they all have similar damage. So I would love to hear ideas for the other 3 or 4. I will just make sure it's also clean inside because I don't want to sculpt around a moldy pony. And now that we're going to remove the hair, I'm going to tell you how this idea came to be. I was chatting with my mom, like we usually do, and we were sharing pictures back and forth of pretty things we liked. And she sent me a picture of an amazingly beautiful chameleon. And because lately all my thoughts, all my creative efforts are focused on ponies, I thought, oh, I could make a chameleon pony. And this is the main reason why I chose this particular pony, Sweet Stuff, because the head is quite wide, the face, and it also has the crystal eyes, which I really like. So I thought it could make a good custom candidate. For a long time, I wasn't sure if I should add hair to this pony, because I didn't know if this was a pony inspired by a chameleon, a pony that was turned into a chameleon by some magical force, or a mix of the two, like a mermaid or a centaur. Here you can see some of the marks that the pony had on the body, and these are called age spots generally, and they're very difficult to remove. You can remove them with peroxide and UV light, but they take weeks, if not months, to fade. But in the end, I fixated on this, this story about a pony being turned into a chameleon. So it kept some pony features and it added some chameleon ones. You'll see. I hope you understand. So back to the style. In the end, I was quite fixated with this story of a pony being turned into a chameleon. So it's keeping some pony features and adding a lot of chameleon features. And because I feel the hair will look stranger, I decided not to add it. One of the features that come from the chameleon that I'm going to replicate to some degree is the feet. But first, some quick priming. This will help the sculpting material, the milliput, stick to the pony. The first change I'm going to make to this shape, sorry, Sweet Stuff, is the feet. Because chameleons have, they actually have 4 toes. It looks like 2 big ones. In case you're interested, these feet are called zygodactyl. Another interesting thing about chameleons' feet is that they have a ball and socket joint, so they can rotate the feet in almost any direction. And this is a really good adaptation because chameleons live on trees. But my little ponies have hollow feet, so I'm going to have to fill this up again and reconstruct the chameleon style. And for both the feet and the tail, I'm going to use some kitchen foil, because it's very easy to work with. I've seen other people do it, and this way I can use less epoxy putty. Here I'm just trying to make a little curl inside so the tail will stick in place. Although I just got a glue gun, also the first time I use one, believe it or not, and I'm going to use that to secure some of these other parts in place. it's time to sculpt, and I'm going to use two types of milliput or epoxy putty. The first one is the standard, which is a bit thicker in grain, and the second one is fine. The reason I do this, it's just because the standard is a bit cheaper, so for the parts that are not going to be displayed, I'm going to use that one, and for the details, I'm going to use the fine. After deciding this pony is not going to have any hair, I am going to create a little structure using some soft wire, and then I'm going to sculpt the head. I don't know what this is called, a crest, horns. Oh, it is a crest. Okay. I'm also going to add some more details to the face. I'm going to join the ears with the crest, and I don't have to be super careful about the shape of these ones because they will be covered with the skin, which you will see next. For the skin, I decided to design and 3D print some rolling pins, texture rolling pins. These are quite popular in some other modeling hobbies, and you can actually buy them online, but I wanted to create my own skin textures, and I don't think you can get the reptile skin rolling pins. I was also really looking forward to using my 3D printer again after the sea ponies bases. And I want to thank Elegoo again for the gift, because I love it. I actually designed 4 rolling pins, but ended up printing just 2. Here they're curing. They only took about 40 minutes to print, so that was really fast. And this is what they look like once they're ready. All I need to do now is to remove the supports. Finally, it's time to do the skin. My plan, which remained more or less the same, was to just apply a thin layer of milliput all over the pony and then print the patterns using my rolling pins. I did this in several sessions because I didn't want to work on an area while I'm touching another area and erasing things I did, and so it took a while. But I think the result was much better because I almost didn't get any fingerprints on it. the skin was done, I added some spikes and other little decorations to the face and back. Once it dries, it's time to paint. I was really looking forward to this part and I ended up spending much more time than I expected. I painted in 2 stages. First I did a base coat with the basic gradient with yellow and green, and then I went bananas with the colors. As usual, I'm going to use my acrylic paints. In this case, not so watered down because I want to actually use the thickness of the paint to hide some of the roughness of the milliput. These are some of the colors I used, and then I added more. I applied the yellow mostly on the belly and the neck and in some parts of the head, and I used a dry brush effect to create the gradient. I also mixed some goblin green with light blue, and I used it for the stripes. I just wanted to make sure I had a nice subtle effect all over the body, so then when I added color it wouldn't look too unnatural. I don't know if it worked. At this point I knew people wouldn't recognize this as a chameleon yet because it looked more like a dinosaur or a dragon or a lizard. But I started with the other colors. I used some light blue to create this stripe in the middle. I also applied some blue mica powder, although I'm going to use much more in the next step. This is the point where I showed my pony to a couple of people to ask for their opinions, and they were very confused. Not only about whether this looked like a chameleon, but the reason why I was trying to make a chameleon pony. But this is art. And to make it a little more, I don't want to say obvious because there is nothing obvious about this project, but to make it a little more chameleonic, I added quite a few different colors. Mostly different shades of red, green and blue. And it does look quite strange in the beginning, but as you keep adding colors, I think the effect is a little nicer. It took me some time, but I managed to also clean the eyes, which had some milliput and some paint on them. Although chameleons are not necessarily glittery, I wanted to add this pearlescent effect for the blue stripe, and I also used some more mica powder for the rest of the body. For for the mica powder, I mixed it with some varnish so it would stick on the pony and not come off. Here is the before, when neither the pony or I had any clue what was coming. And this is the after. As you can see, it's very colorful and it's one of a kind. So I would like to know what you thought of it. Please be nice. I'm actually quite happy with this pony, and like the people I showed it to. It was a lot of fun to make. It did take a while, and I'm not very familiar with painting, so it was a learning process. But I think the most important part is that I really enjoyed making it, and I hope you enjoyed the video as well. So thank you so much for sharing this with me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.